if we lose the House, this is no joke. January 6th was a trial run. And a lot of people don't seem to understand that. It was a trial run. And they're going to come back and they win the House. Here's the thing, the technicality of what happened on January 6th. The only reason it wasn't worse was because Democrats had the House and they didn't have the votes in the House. If they take the House, then they have the votes to not authorize and legitimize the presidential election, whatever the results are. And so this is very serious.
I agree. It is very serious, and I'm glad that AOC is focusing on it because the Democratic leadership doesn't really seem to get the severity of this. Now, you might think, well, that's not fair. I mean, after all, they're doing the January 6th commission, right? They're taking it seriously. Yes, they're sort of investigating and they're sitting on their hands, and maybe sometime before the election, something will come out right before the Republicans sweep back into power and get rid of the January 6th commission. That's good. Jamie Raskin's doing some work and stuff like that. But in terms of fighting back against the anti-democratic movement that we're seeing, there's very little actually coming out from the Democrats on that. And what's interesting is with all this news that's come out about Kevin McCarthy, like when you contrast the things that he was saying back in the day, I would like to hear some of that coming from the Democrats. Let's jump into some more of what we found out about Kevin McCarthy after the 6th. He said at that point that Trump's conduct had been atrocious and totally wrong. He said that the president had incited people to attack the Capitol, saying that Mr. Trump's remarks at a rally on the National Mall that day were not right by any shape or any form. Now, of course, I guess the joke is on democracy because in the end, Kevin McCarthy ends up totally going along with it and all that. But look, on the 10th, he was having January 10th of last year, he's having a conversation saying that not only would he call on Mr. Trump to resign, he said that he wished big tech companies would strip Republican lawmakers of their social media accounts, as Twitter and Facebook had already done at that point with Donald Trump. He said, we can't put up with that, this irresponsible behavior in social media. Can't they take their Twitter accounts away too? And now he's saying, Mr. McCarthy, his spokesman says, never said that particular members should be removed from Twitter. Well, I'm sure like the New York Times reporters say that they have more on tape. I'm assuming if they're making that claim, they have that on tape too. So get ready for the backtrack on that, Brett. But that is so directly against everything the Republicans now publicly stand for, encouraging big tech censorship of their elected representatives because of irresponsible behavior.
Well, that's because they have no actual, to put it in John terms, any actual values other than they value power. And they will do anything to retain it. So that is politics winning out over the ideals that this country was founded on. That is power's power over doing what's right, which is they should not be called the right wing because nothing they do is ever right. It is utterly morally wrong and reprehensible. And that's the thing. The reason that Kevin McCarthy was freaking out when this happened and said, I will probably, I think the president's not gonna wanna back down, but I think the people in the Senate are gonna push him to resign through a vote to pass an impeachment, even the Republicans. He realizes though, there used to be this thing where like when Nixon resigned, it looked like there was enough honor among the people in his own party that against a mountain of not only evidence, but just this instinct that they were being horrible. And this is not the direction America could be perceived to be going in. The people would step up and vote against this. There was honor, there used to be honor, even in a Nixon era. But now there is none. Now there is only, and the other thing is that feeds into things like why there's a Fox Nation and not a CNN Plus anymore. It's because there is no enthusiastic person out there who's like, I need to get rid of Trump because he's just too much. That's the instinct. But there's people that say, I need to get Trump back because this is not enough. Yeah. And I think that I also do look forward to the New York Times coming out and saying, yeah, here's more proof, and we're gonna keep releasing the audio of it until you stop denying it.
Yeah, and whether that has any consequences for Kevin McCarthy, we're gonna have to see. I don't know. I mean, like it seems equally likely that In 2 days, we won't even remember the story exists, or in 2 days, Donald Trump will literally be doing rallies where the only thing he does is like set fire to an effigy of Kevin McCarthy. I don't know at this point. No consequences is like sort of the median position on everything that happens, but we'll have to see. Now, the issue is that while he was saying things like this, and we're gonna get to Mitch McConnell, flash forward just a few days to the actual vote, only 10 House Republicans joined with Democrats to support impeaching Donald Trump. So like at that point, I guess the tide had, it's not that the tide had turned, it was clear that the tide wasn't going to turn. So those who had been looking at the ocean decided, well, I guess I'm still with Trump. Because just by the end of that month, Kevin McCarthy, who was saying he was going to encourage him to resign and that it was atrocious behavior, unacceptable, no shape and form was it right, was going to Mar-a-Lago and just hanging out with him. And since then, all those comments are done. There are some Republicans who still criticize Trump for what happened on the 6th, but not Kevin McCarthy. He's moved on from that. Mitch McConnell, who will occasionally criticize him, even though, remember, Mitch McConnell turned on impeachment too. He previously said that he thought the Democrats would, quote, take care of the son of a bitch for us. Remember, publicly, he was saying, well, I think he's gonna be out of office in a few weeks, so this is just an attempt to distract the nation. Like, he turned against it just as fast as Kevin McCarthy, but in private, he was taking it seriously. So I don't know, do you give him credit off of that? And to bring this back to AOC in terms of the trial run, when they go for the next attempt, there are gonna be a lot of Republicans that are perfectly fine with it. New poll in Salon, a majority of Republicans believe now they've landed on, no, it was an act of patriotism. 57% say that. 88% of Democrats say it was an insurrection. So remember, the vast majority of those Republicans that now say it's an act of patriotism were denouncing Antifa on the day of. But now you give it a year, a couple extra months, and it's an act of patriotism that we should all be able to get behind, Brett.
And they can't, that's what's so infuriating about it. And that's the thing I honestly don't have a solution for. Because they're so tribal that they just want to be right. Mm-hmm. And they don't need to be consistent in their justification for it. So that's another theme of this, is the right wing doesn't start with a response and build on that response to something horrible that they've done that's obviously wrong. They know it's wrong. They know, like, think of everyone like Kevin McCarthy, who would much rather Mitch McConnell be in power, would much rather have a Mike Pence, someone boring and religious and totally, abortion plus tax cuts equals Republican Party.
Yep.
But yeah, it's very frustrating. I don't have a solution for it. That's the problem.
I don't, and look, that could be personally disappointing for us. Maybe our audience wishes that we could solve it. I would say it's not on us.
Just to finish the thought, it's that they try something and they know that it's bad, and then they know they see it fail. They throw the spaghetti off the wall, it falls down. They don't justify why they threw that wad of spaghetti against the wall. They just abandon it and come up with a completely contradictory defense to their actions and throw that against the wall. And if that sticks a little, they build on that. But they're never held accountable for the fact that if they try 3 different responses to the same event, and 2 of them are wildly contradictory to the third, they're never held accountable that they exposed already that their justifications 100%. Are BS and not founded in any reality, but rather founded in whether they test well with their own audience.
Exactly. Well, look, to bring it to terms that John would use, it's because a desire for consistency, internal logic, those sorts of things, that is not a value on the right. It isn't. We might falsely believe that that's not a political thing. That's just everybody wants to be consistent, right? No, values get ranked. And a desire, as you said earlier, a desire for power, a desire for a feeling of superiority, of ideological purity over intellectual consistency, those so far outrank any desire for logic or attachment to reality on the right that you can't even see those values anymore. They're so deep descended into the muck. And like, really fast, Mark Levin was doing a whole show on Disney talking about how it's a network of perverts. They shouldn't be able to exist. Does anyone on the right think it's weird that no one on the right was saying that like 4 months ago? They were all totally fine with it. That DeSantis took $100,000 from a group of commie perverts and they don't have any problem with it. There is just no desire for any of this.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.